This is Greg Fan Book of Greg's Mind, and this is I guess a sequel video to the previous Harry Potter movie idea. Now, after I had thought about that, a new idea almost like came immediately after. But I mean not but. So the first Harry Potter movie idea I had would be titled of Muggles and Magic. This next one is going to be of Science and Magic and follow almost directly after the previous one. Um, well, not almost after, it's like 10, 15 years after. But, so the second movie will start with a girl named Cassie who is, um, like, she's young in the beginning and then like, we see her, like, enjoying like the idea of magic and like believing in magic and wanting like because like magic kind of was just introduced into the Muggle populace or whatever, and so she's enjoying like seeing this, but she is also a Muggle. She doesn't have those abilities, and so we skip to like 10, 15 years later, which is after Oliver's death in the previous uh, movie, and she is now a like university assistant or whatever with a professor, and they are trying to create basically a wand which will allow muggles to use magic. And like this is all like the prologue part of the story. And then what ends up happening is like she returns one night to like because she wants to like work more on the project and finds out that the professor who she originally thought had no magic is actually a wizard and is trying to like introduce like a weaponized um, well not a weaponized but a weapon into the Muggle population to like disrupt them and to cause chaos basically, and to also like show that like Muggles shouldn't be allowed to use magic. Like he's very I guess racist in that matter. And what ends up happening is when Cassie returns and like sees this and is trying to like expose this, they get into a fight, and the professor ends up using the death course. Yeah, I haven't read the books in a while, but the professor ends up using the death course on Cassie, and Cassie does not die because of it. And so it actually the course rebounds and hits him, but it's like a slightly altered or whatever. So like we don't see the aftermath of what happened to the professor, but he somehow gets away. And with Cassie, she like is now like perplexed about like how come she didn't die, because like the death course is one of the actually I mean it I haven't completely thought it out, but I just know I want her to be hit with it and it doesn't work. And I think it's because so like we don't get into her backstory right away, but we will later on in the story, and what we find out later on in the story is that her parents actually who died at some point before like became the professor assistant or something like that when she was growing up. Uh, they actually were one of the first people to examine Oliver's body. So they were a mortician, I think that's the word, and they were examining Oliver's body after he was basically destroyed by the tank cannon, and they found out that like the what makes magic in a person as opposed to in a wizard as opposed to a muggle is a gene being activated. And they what they ended up doing is when Cassie was younger, which is what happened, which is what caused them to actually die, uh, is that they tried to activate that gene in the daughter, and in doing so, there was again a backfire effect, which killed them, but made Cassie into basically a homunculus. I think I don't know if that term is ever used in the Harry Potter series, but from like I know it from like Full Metal Alchemist, and so it basically Cassie is now a homunculus, and she can't die from the death course. And so after the entire mess in the beginning, she ends up going into like hiding, and like the wizarding world is trying to, uh, in a sense, cover up the professor's mistake or research. But there are groups in the wizarding world that want to like make it into a war thing, and like they agree with the professor that muggles shouldn't be allowed to use magic at all. So I guess we fast forward to later on in the story, and they're trying to find Cassie as well because she actually goes into hiding, and they want to, in a sense, study her because she didn't die. They already captured the professor, and like near the end, I know I want some event to happen which she needs to be like play a part of. I was thinking of like the professor who is disfigured from the rebound of the death course. Um, he like makes a singularity basically, and it's because like he has a more advanced knowledge of magic now thanks to the science that Oliver discovered. And in Cassie's mind, she uh, decides that she needs to make this singularity have a endpoint, so make it transport somewhere. I haven't thought of how to like close it, but basically it's a one-way portal from Murder App to where she is gonna make it go to. But again, she's a muggle, she doesn't have that ability. And through the science that Oliver had, and like Oliver taught, she realized that like the basically the number one thing you need with magic is to believe in it. So if she can create a perfect image of like where she wants them to go, and then believes in the magic, she can create the endpoint. So she actually goes into the singularity and creates an endpoint for it, and that sets up a portal. And this is because of the quantum mechanics that the Oliver discovered with magic. And so in a sense, Cassie is now able to use magic even though she doesn't have the gene, or the gene is like corrupted and all. But what she ends up doing near the end of near the end of it, is like they now know that muggles can actually use magic, but they don't have it innately like activated in them. And those that can use magic already believe in the magic. So the muggles that don't believe in magic can't use it. So that's why they're kind of the muggles. And so by Cassie discovering this, she now becomes like a teacher and teaches muggles how to use it. And so like at the very end of the story, we skip forward like 10 years and she's actually like a teacher at Hogwarts or something. And they're allowing muggles into the school to learn how to use magic. And that's where like I don't have exactly the thoughts on the third movie yet, but I know I can work something into a third movie. But this is the sequel to of Muggles and Magic. If that becomes a movie, this would be of Science and Magic, and the sequel after that would be like a War and Magic or something. Uh, I mean, it's about Tom. I don't exactly know what I would do with that, but I felt like sharing the additional idea from the first one. So that's about it. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and thank you for watching. Have a good day.